Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Word Balloon. This is John Suntress. It's been a weird month, and I don't think I've been putting out as many episodes as I normally do. I will right the ship in the days and weeks ahead, I promise. Great guests on the way. I've already got some great shows in the can that I cannot wait to share with you right here on Word Balloon. Thanks a lot for coming here. Word Balloon is available on Spotify along with iTunes and pretty much everywhere else where you find podcasts, so keep that in mind. If you have questions or comments about the show, you can reach me via email, john@wordballoon.com. Make sure you follow me on Twitter under @JohnWordBalloon or under the Word Balloon Network at my name, John Suntress, on Facebook. Thanks again for listening, as always, and thank you very much for your patience with the commercials. It's one of the ways that keeps Word Balloon in the green, and I thank you very much for not fast-forwarding them and enjoying these spots. There might be one more commercial before we get started, but as always, I appreciate you listening. Thanks a lot. Hey everybody, welcome back to Word Balloon, the comic book conversation show. John Suntress here, very happy to welcome Sanford Greene back to Word Balloon. Sanford, Chuck Brown, and David Walker are doing an incredible series for Image. It's called Bitter Root. We talked about it with Sanford when it was premiering, and the Volume 1 collection is out. Volume 2 is about to begin, and Sanford gives us a review and preview of this incredible series that takes a look at the Harlem Renaissance through the prism of a ghost-hunting supernatural family. Pretty cool stuff. Great ideas. Very fresh concept and a great way to educate as well as entertain. A really fun series. Sanford Greene for today's Word Balloon. It's all brought to you by the League of Word Balloon listeners. Thanks a lot, Lee, for your support. We're closing out January, and I thank you very much for your subscriptions to Word Balloon. Word Balloon is free, but if you like what I do here and want to help out the cause, you can subscribe by going to wordballoon.com and clicking on the Patreon ad, or going to patreon.com/wordballoon. Thank you for your support, League of Word Balloon listeners. This episode of Word Balloon is also sponsored by Aftershock Comics, who are shaking things up at your local shop right now. New titles on the way. The Man Who Effed Up Time from John Layman. Conversation with John coming up in the days ahead here on Word Balloon. Zach Thompson's Undone by Blood. God Killers by Mark Sable. They go along with a lot of other Aftershock favorites. Baby Teeth with Donnie Cates and Gary Brown. A Walk Through Hell from Garth Ennis and Goran Sudzuka. Their catalog is filled with works from people like Paul Jenkins, Tim Seeley, Cullen Bunn, Matthew Klickstein, Phil Hester, so many more. Go to their website. You'll find full story descriptions, preview pages, and the diamond codes on how to get these books through your local shop at AftershockComics.com. All right, let's get into it. Always happy to welcome him back. He's one of the best artists in the business, and really happy for him, Dave Walker, and Chuck Brown for the success and new avenues of interest for the series Bitter Root. It's not just happening in the comic shops, as Sanford explains in this conversation. Sanford Greene on today's Word Balloon. Sanford Greene, welcome back to Word Balloon. As always, a pleasure to talk to you, man.
Nice seeing you again, John. Well,
Absolutely.
Talking to you at least.
Yeah, I know. I made you turn your camera off. I'm sorry. But also, yeah, like you said, you don't want to see me in my pajamas. Absolutely not.
Oh yeah, that's quite all right. I'm good with it. I'm good.
So, hey, man, congratulations to you and David and Charles for all the wonderful success with Bitter Root. And Volume 2 is coming out in February, but there's a lot of big plans for Bitter Root. I'm so glad that it all clicked and people are digging it.
Yeah, it's 2019 was pretty insane in a great way. Having just within 5 issues, we had a lot of accolades from the industry. That was good in itself, but then we started to get nominations for things like the Eisners and Ringo Award nomination. And, of course, we got a lot of mentions on every news site, comic site, entertainment sites out there. Everything from Entertainment Weekly to Variety to Hollywood Reporter to Deadline to, New York Times, Washington Post, all these different outlets giving us notoriety, and it was really it was incredibly humbling, and at the same time it was exhilarating. It allowed us to feel like we actually created something that people that resonated with people. So yeah, man, not to mention the fact that we got a little movie thing happening from this, not too big. Some dude named Ryan Coogler.
Yeah, I never heard of him. Sorry.
Yeah. It's independent film. Independent film. Yeah,
exactly. He did some Comfortville Station. Exactly. Other than that, I really don't know him or anything. No, I never heard of Creed. I never heard of Black Panther. Absolutely, man.
Yeah, I think those are independent films as well. I think, but hey, we figured, hey, he might know what he's doing, so why not give him a shot?
I'm really excited to see what he can do with your guys' characters and everything, and environment. I mean, it's really what a cool, interesting opportunity, honestly. And not only that, but honestly, Sanford, and I'm so glad that they're in. I believe the collected volume. I bought it digitally, but on the back matter, is it also like all the essays that you guys had for the various issues and stuff? Are all those collected in the trade as well?
Absolutely, yeah. That's one of the great perks with being able to get the actual physical collection is to be able to read the entire collections of back matter. Yeah. We did essays for each individual issue, and we decided to collect them because we got so much tremendous feedback. And I think that's honestly, giving credit to John Jennings, who was kind of the curator for that section. Him and along with David, they assembled that section. And John, he's tremendous in the academic world when it comes to fantasy, horror, and even more specifically dealing with Afrofuturism, which is like a huge thing right now. I would say it's a zeitgeist, and Bitterroot, honestly, over the last the last year, we've gotten all types of opportunities from academics, scholars from all over the world, reaching out to us, wanting to use our book as curriculum. Syllabi. It's pretty intense. There's a course at I think Michigan State. I think it's Michigan State. I forgot the professor's name. She is using our book literally as a textbook, and she reached out to us about wanting to know how she could keep the trade on order for every semester.
Wow.
So literally, she's giving it to every student in her class, or they have to purchase it as if they are purchasing a textbook. So that's the thing that's goes beyond just what that goes beyond this comic medium, right?
Oh, hell yeah, man.
So we've got some plans here coming up here this year that kind of ties into the academics and the comic aspect of it. We're going to be doing some things, some pretty big things. So I mean, even if there was no opportunities with a film or anything like that, this alone is just tremendous.
Sure, man. Well, the amount of real Black history that you put into the comic and stuff, I think, is amazing. And I know when we only talked about the first issue the first time, I was thrilled when Grandma was dropping, Bessie Coleman references, or actually, I guess it was Blink that was saying, the Bessie Coleman stuff and everything, right? Blink isn't Blink.
Yeah.
And I mean, so it was cool, and I'm like, wait a minute, I know about Bessie Coleman. That's a Chicago thing, right by O'Hare Airport. They've got the Bessie Coleman Expressway and everything, and I'm like, who's Bessie Coleman? And I read about her, and I'm like, oh, that's amazing. So that's great. And really, man, this is what Eisner did. It's like you use comics to teach, and that's and I mean, he did it for the Army, which is basic, training and stuff like that. But again, this is what a comic can do, and you can fool people into reading a fun supernatural action adventure story, and they're learning something in the process. I think that's terrific.
Exactly. I was sharing with, I think it was Wes Craig. We had a conversation about a month ago. Wes Craig, Deadly Class co-creator, and awesome illustrator in his own right. And we were just talking about just what this industry, having the content that we have and how it transcends the actual comic portion of the entertainment, and how we have something that obviously he had a television show with Rick Remender and
yes, on Sci-Fi Channel. Yep.
Right, on the Sci-Fi Channel, and it's a shame that it didn't last, but it was awesome to see it even make it to the small screen.
Hell yeah!
But just to be able to see how our content has reached beyond just the industry, the comic industry, and just how you hear stories a lot about the fate of the comic industry, right?
Right.
And the thing that I was sharing with him was that I think we kind of got this golden egg, if you will, in Bitterroot because of the back matter, because we're dealing with social, political. We have that platform, and we're tying it into this fantastical element. We have so many unique pieces that most of the people that we've come across, well, I shouldn't say most, at least half of the readers that we've come across don't read comics on a regular basis. We have, again, like a lot of the educators and scholars, they are admirers of comics, graphic novels, but they're not necessarily Wednesday warriors. And I think, I think to some degree that model, that Wednesday warrior, model is going to, go by the wayside at some point. And, and the ticket is being able to make the content in a lot of ways educational. And it's not necessarily, it doesn't have to be about history. It doesn't have to be necessarily about social, political, or anything like that necessarily. But I think there's a component because, like I said, that golden egg or that golden opportunity, I think, is in academia, in the libraries. It's in it's in that sphere, in that space. And we've done tremendous in that space already. Like I said, we've been reached out to from every aspect of academics, everything from grade school, high school, college, and we're reaching and creating new readers that way. So and it, in some ways, it does transcend into these readers getting into more comics. And that's at the end of the day, if we can reach 100 people and 10 of them go to the comic store on a regular basis, not every Wednesday, but just, once a month or what have you,
sure,
that's a win. And so, long story short, when we were having this conversation, that was something that we were both excited about, knowing that we have some unique avenues, and these are avenues like the avenues that I'm speaking of is kind of unique because it's not just academia; it's historical, Black historical aspects of it, and that is a very rich, very sought after genre or subject matter. Again, this Afrofuturism genre is really like at the forefront of almost everything. Now, Black Panther did what it did because Afrofuturism was the foundation of it. And that's we kind of were in the right place at the right time with Kugler and so on and so forth. So yeah, I mean, yeah, we I'm talking kind of in circles here a little bit, but I would say that we have so many unique opportunities that go beyond this industry, and I think that's kind of the ticket for any creator doing anything out there. Just like what demographic can you pinpoint or focus on that you can tell an authentic story,
yes,
and be able to present that. I think that's when you can see a successful, healthy industry, and not every company shouldn't be doing superhero stories.
Right. Yes.
We see just how even with that, I mean, it's almost kind of like it's a no-win situation in a lot of ways because so many people are they're locked in. They're locked into what a superhero should be, look like, sound like.
Yep.
So, we just didn't want to go when we had the opportunity to do something with Image initially. We knew that the last thing we were going to attempt to do is a typical superhero story. So, we're like I said, we're just in a very fortunate, unique position right now, and hopefully it just opens the door for many more creators to come through and tell their unique stories.
Would you ever open up Bitterroot to be an umbrella title for other creators to tell stories with you? And don't get me wrong, you're at the very beginning right now, and I realize that, and there's plenty for you and David and Chuck to do. But do you envision that someday if things continue to expand?
We did the annual last year, the Red Summer Special, which is an anthology. But David and Chuck they did the actual stories, but we had other creators, illustrators. Do each story. There were 6 stories in an anthology.
Yep.
I did one story, and there were another 5 illustrators, and we try to get unique voices to do those stories. And we were kind of already doing it, and we thought about putting out something like that once a year after we finished each volume to do kind of a bridge tie-in overview type story, like an annual, and bring in these other unique voices. So I don't know from the writing aspect if we're going to explore that sooner or later, but it's definitely in our thought process.
Okay. And speaking of the summer special, isn't it interesting that you guys cover the Tulsa Massacre and then also Watchmen does it as well,
Yeah.
as I'm sure you're well aware. And isn't that amazing that you guys are kind of, again, like you said, it's part of the zeitgeist right now. And again, I think timing is so important. And you guys really did, man. The horseshoes were with you.
Hey, well, John, I'll tell you, man, that's one of the things that when we started getting a lot of tweets and messages about the Watchmen show, and it was pretty flattering because people were aware, because we're talking about one of the greatest, fiction, graphic novels of all time, and in the Watchmen, and then to have a powerhouse team of creative people behind it, and of course the stars that were involved.
Oh yeah,
we felt like, man, to be mentioned with these names was incredible to know that our work was being recognized on that level. And I mean, so, and I'll just say this too. It did feel great because we knew that we put that story out there before any of that came about. Right. It's just hard. It's hard when you're in this industry, and something like that is a totally different medium, and you're if you're not in the know of how the comic industry works or what have you, you could have sworn that, oh, those guys from Bitterroot, they got this idea from the Watchmen when it's the other way around. Well, again, they didn't get the idea from us or anything like that. I'm not saying that either, but I'm just saying that that's a part of history, and it's incredible to know that the story is finally being told, and it's being told in some unique ways. Like, our story is nothing like what the Watchmen story is, but still deals with that part of history. So we're going to be doing some very very unique things with that. I guess I'll give you one spoiler. I think we can call it that. And this because it's more about history more than anything. We're going to explore the. Are you familiar with sundown towns? Have you heard of that before?
I believe so, because again, does it go? You go on and explain it. Go ahead.
Well, in a nutshell, there was back in those times. There were once the sun goes down in certain towns and in neighborhoods and what have you. Once the sun goes down, you need to be, if you're a person of color, you need to not be on the streets because bad things can happen.
Right.
So that's kind of sort of what the Greene book was about. There was that book, if you saw the film, that they traveled.
Oh, yeah. Green Book from last year. Sure.
Yeah. So, and that book was, the book was kind of like a guide, probably, for lack of better words, a GPS to all the places that was safe to perform as a person of color.
Yes.
Like you just don't want to go any place. Oh, let's go over there. There's a lot of people, but they could be people that would lynch you. But
literally.
You need to know where the safe spaces are. So we're going to explore some of that, and it's going to be pretty awesome how we tie it into the whole fantastical monster thing, and how the family deals with all of that stuff.
That's great, man. Well, and again, I mean, not to sound Pollyanna or anything, but this is why it's great to have, different voices out there, because these are the stories that, like you said, I mean, Tulsa is another great example of, like, who heard of Tulsa if they hadn't read Bitterroot or seen the Watchmen thing? And I know a lot of people that were like, I've never heard of this incident. And there really is this kind of secret history that lends itself to what you guys are doing from an action, adventure, supernatural thing, but also, again, educating the general populace about a lot of these stories that over the generations might have slipped through the cracks. And there's tons of stories to be mined and represented with this spin, and I think it's excellent, man. It's great, and like I said, the timing and what you guys have chosen to do, I'm really glad that it's all clicking. And if anything, again, it's an area that is really interesting stories that, like I said, can be rediscovered now through Bitterroot. That's great.
Right. I'll tell you what. I've learned so much just from the research and from what David and Chuck put into the scripts. Again, Sundown Towns. I was familiar with it, but then when we started to study and go in depth with it, and getting more of an understanding of it, and again, it's like with all this history. The Bitterroot story practically is writing itself. We're just taking the history and we're just plugging it in to make and move along our stories.
Sure.
And we were like, it's like, if anyone says writing is hard, then I would encourage them just to look at anything from history to life experience, and you can tell a story from those things easy, because it's coming from something that you're enlightened by or experienced or whatever. And on top of that, because it's something that you are enlightened by or you experience personally, it makes that story that much more authentic. And I think that's another part of why so many people are generating this interest and we're getting this tremendous feedback from so many of the readers out there, because they are familiar with a lot of this stuff, and it's not necessarily just history, it's just the personal emotional things that go along with that history. Because a lot of times we feel things or experience things and we may not even understand why. Why does, I grew up in a town where there were all black kids going to one school, all white kids going to another school.
Yeah.
Even as recent as the 90s. So It's kind of like, why is it that way?
Yeah.
No one really necessarily questioned it. We did, but it wasn't so much of a thing where we were adamant about getting the answers. We just, it was just the way that it was.
Yeah, it was
right?
accepted. Yeah.
Yeah, it was accepted. But why is it even accepted? How did it get to that point? Why is it accepted? Yeah. And so those kind of things, you read a story like what we are producing, and then you start to retract back to any of those experiences you may have come across. It's not just those kind of things. It can be anything that kind of is in the realm of that. And it's like the light bulb comes on, like, oh, wait a minute. That's probably why I experienced this thing, based on just what I'm hearing and reading here. I mean, that's why the Red Summer generated so much incredible feedback online. And I call it the Red Summer. I'm talking about the actual Tulsa riots, where they called it the Red Summer. That's why
in 1919. Yes.
Right, and that's why we titled our anthology Red Summer, because it's kind of a double meaning behind it.
Sure.
The actual historical aspect of it, and then somewhat of an allegorical kind of, like, it was like the summer was hot, and when summers are hot, it's very uncomfortable and challenging and hard, and So we just thought it would be cool. Plus, it came out in the summer, so it was that we figured, hey, let's just run with what seems logical with this. So
I think I told you my buddy back in, I want to say 2013 was when his historical book came out about Red Summer, about the problems of 1919 and all the various lynchings and just public displays of the worst kind of racial violence and stuff. And, so I was aware of it. And then when you guys named it the Red Summer Special, I'm like, oh, that's brilliant. And also, again, last year being the centennial for when all this happened. And when you talked about the sundown towns and stuff like that, I believe one of the chapters in my buddy's book, Henry Fonda saw public lynchings when he was a kid, and it was one of those sundown situations in the town that he grew up in. So there's, even another like famous person that actually, and obviously it really upset him. I mean, there's someone who even witnessed it and a white guy that it upset and everything. But again, it's forgotten history. And also, I believe I told you, he's working with filmmakers, the people that made the Obama documentary From DuSable to the White House. And I forget the woman's name, the filmmaker, but I met her. Jazz, I believe, is her first name. And she's great. She's amazing. And went to a couple fundraisers that they had for the documentary and everything. And they're finding great footage from silent movie footage from 1919. And they're actually colorizing it and to make it a little more... understandable for a young audience to watch and stuff. But it's, again, they're mining this history that became, forgotten for decades and now, is getting a voice again. So it's great. And like you said, this is just a great roadmap of real things that happened that do lend itself to what you guys are trying to do with Bitterroot. I think it's terrific.
Oh, awesome! Well, I'm glad you have a friend that you can connect with and get even more in depth understanding from what we're trying to produce. But I think I was going to make a joke. I'll make it anyway. I was thinking as you were sharing about the lynchings, I was like, man, I think every time I've been on your show within the last 2 years, we talk like really heavy subject matter. Like we're talking about lynchings. We're talking about
appropriating, cultural appropriation. I know, man.
Talked about that. We talked about mental health. We're talking about all kinds of things that
it's heavy shit, man.
Right. And I say even with all of that, John, I think one of the things that we're conscious, we're trying to make sure that we present the human element in terms of living and experiencing life, togetherness, family, during that time and how important it was. Because even with that, there are certain things that we do today that stem from times, from those times, even before those times, traditions, family traditions, things that bring families together. Of course, the family reunion aspect of things, those types of things we are also highlighting in this because,
Agreed.
We don't want this entire thing to be about heavy subject matter every page. And I'm sure readers, they've seen that, they've experienced that, and we've gotten a lot of feedback about that as well, of how they enjoyed seeing how the family, though they may have their disagreements or their dysfunctions or whatever, they are there for one another. They're willing to go to literally to hell and back. So that's another aspect that we're really trying to highlight.
Absolutely, there's humor there, and again, as opposed to a manufactured family,
Mm-hmm.
like a superhero team or whatever. Right. This absolutely is a family that has been fighting the good fight, and again, and like you said, we'll just have some great, normal quarrels between the men and the women and the older generation and the younger generation and everything. Right. And it's and again, they're all specialty people in what they do as well. And yeah, man, and it's fun watching, like Cullen and Berg, be the muscle and get into their jams and stuff like that, and Blink and Ford. I mean, it's it's a great collection of characters that are problem solvers in their own way. And again, it's like each problem is something that all of them can contend with the skills that they have. And it's absolutely, man. No, you're right. It's not all about the heavy. Absolutely.
Right. We can't have it. We got some fun stuff. We're introducing other characters, other family members.
Great. Excellent.
We're without spoiling anything, we're bringing in what we call an auntie. She's going to show up here, or at least she's going to make an appearance. And you'll see she's one of the main characters, one of the main core of the story. That's the character's aunt directly, and you'll see how much that main character, where that main character got their character from, if you will. Based on the aunt, but so we're bringing in some fun stuff, and we're going to keep building here. We've got some. We had a meeting, and kind of a quick sidebar. We have kind of a new a reshuffling, if you will, of the creative team. Of course, me and David and Chuck were the core, obviously, but. We have a new colorist, Sophie Dodson, and she's tremendous. She's done a lot of stuff for the British publication. Oh gosh,
2000 AD.
2000 AD. Yeah, she worked a lot on 2000 AD.
Cool.
And we have a new editor in Shelley Bond.
That's great. I love Shelley when she's a great editor. Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh yeah. She's taking this ship and she's taking us to a whole nother level right now. And, we're eternally grateful for her. She's probably, one of my favorite people ever in comics. Especially on that side of everything. And, so we got those guys, coming in. They'll be here pretty much until we're ready to call it, to an end, which that hopefully will be a very long time from now. So
here.
Yep.
That's great, man. No, Shelley's been on the show, and she cracks me up. She's terrific. I always say it's like because we're around the same age and everything, and she worked at the college radio station just like I did, and I'm like, we would have been friends. We absolutely would have been friends because we had the same musical taste and everything. I guess if I can gush about her, because I'm going to make sure she blushes off of this right here, because when she hears this, I want to make sure. We're not terrible. She's not terribly much older, but we connect so easily, and it happened. Oh man, I've known Shelley probably 10 years now. Oh, that's cool.
Back when she was still at DC, and
I was going to ask you, did you ever do any Vertigo work with her?
Oh my gosh, she was trying to get me. We did one project together. It was a Nightwing story, which had nothing to do with Vertigo, but somehow she got tied into some Nightwing stuff, and she called me up, and she did her Shelley Bond thing. I call it the Shelley Bond thing, where she literally gave me, it was kind of like she dangled this carrot in front of me, and then she, from behind my back, hit me with a boxing glove. And next thing I came to, I had already finished the pages. I was like, oh wow, how did that happen? She got me. But that's just her. She has that charm about her that
Yes.
she's very endearing. She doesn't pull any punches, which she's honest and but she's also fair. And I appreciate that. She told me exactly what was needed and when it was needed, and yeah, I just couldn't dispute that. And so yeah, she's bringing that same energy to Bitterroot, which I'm eternally grateful for.
That's excellent, man. Now, and you said earlier that, David and Chuck, like, how does the writing dynamic work between them?
They take a bunch of ideas and put them in a hat, throw them in the air, and whoever catches what, that's what they will. No, I don't know.
All right, fair enough.
Yeah, to some degree, it's like that. But truth be told, there's a lot of back and forth. I know David. He works a lot with Bendis.
Yes.
They co-write Naomi, which is a tremendous book.
Yes, indeed.
And they're doing Young Justice right now. I think they're working on that. So, I don't know if you know the dynamics from that aspect with Bendis and him. But so it's a lot of the same thing where, the ideas is pretty fluid. I throw in ideas. As a matter of fact, I'll take credit for the Sundown Town. I threw that idea in there.
Oh, that's great, man. That's excellent.
But, the ideas are fluid, and then they kind of pick through some things as they write. Okay, this idea will fit in this portion of the story. Okay, this idea will fit later down the road, that kind of thing. And we go back and forth, and then Shelley kind of comes in and asks questions that will really make us feel like idiots. And we go back and, we rewrite or structure some things and come back with a pretty awesome story when it's all said and done. So, it's pretty fluid. It's a lot of work, but it's very fluid.
That's excellent, man. No, that's great. And like I said, so yeah, it starts in February. So we'll look forward to Volume 2. That's terrific, and people can catch up and grab Volume 1. And like I said, not only have a great, very entertaining and informative comic story, but also some incredible essays as well. That really does kind of fill in more. So, do you envision it? Because as you say, Bitterroot right now is set in the past and stuff. But when you talk about Afrofuturism, will we see the family in the future? Will we see, any sort of thoughts of speculative, future or anything with the family?
Well, I could say if the demand is there, I think we can make that work.
Okay.
We've got ideas just sitting there, stuff we hadn't really touched yet, that could easily push this thing in the future or way in the future or even go back to the past.
Well, sure. Yeah.
So, yep.
Cool.
So yeah, we're definitely, we're mapping out all of the possibilities.
That's excellent.
And I could let me also say too. I think with the film, we talked about some of that stuff there. They brought it up actually. It's nothing etched in stone, but that kind of really helped us to springboard, possibly just planting seeds in our main story that would allow those things to happen. They may not happen, but it's not necessarily detrimental that if it happens or if it doesn't happen. So
cool.
But we're trying to do the Jonathan Hickman thing. We'll plant something and then we'll retrieve it 5 years later. Something like that.
It is a Jonathan Hickman trope. That's very good. Yeah. I like that. That's excellent, man. Too funny, man. That's wonderful. So, yeah, all right, good deal. So, yeah, people go to your stores and start ordering Volume 2 of Bitterroot and jump in. Is there a subtitle for the second volume?
Rage and Redemption.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. We also Well, I think this is going out a few days from now. I think the 27th is the FOC.
Okay, January 27th is the cutoff.
Yep,
okay.
yep. So we're getting some great feedback, and I can also we can say this too. It's not even a spoiler or anything. It's just what we're doing with the covers. We had some awesome variant covers.
Yes, you did.
From everyone, from all the luminaries, from Mignola to Sienkiewicz to Kevin Nolan to Dennis Cowan and so on and so forth.
Ron Wilson did the great boxing cover. Absolutely, man.
Oh yeah, and
made me very happy. Absolutely.
It didn't look like your typical Ron Wilson, which was pretty awesome. It looked like the style was kind of in a style like the old ads from around that time, like
Absolutely.
the illustration of it, which I thought, wow, what an incredible attention to detail that Ron displayed. And again, he's a legend.
Yes.
So we had all these tremendous legendary illustrators doing covers for us. This time around, we're going to take a bit of a different approach, and we're intentional with doing this. We're trying to get artists of color and women, as well as women illustrators. And we got Sean Martinborough, who's he's one of he's one of the mainstays in the industry. And a good friend. And we have other illustrators, Chris Bruner and Chris Visions, Francis Vallejo, Elisa Ivanova. And these names may not necessarily be huge names like the others, obviously, but their illustration work is so incredible, and just what they are bringing to these covers is just tremendous. We're playing up on the idea, or we're doing kind of like homage covers to classic urban cinema, black cinema.
Wow.
Everything from Do the Right Thing, Harlem Nights, the movie Juice.
Sure.
So we're taking our characters and we're crossing them over to fit what the promotional movie posters were.
Fantastic.
So we did. The first one we rolled out was the Do the Right Thing, and oh my God, there's so much. People lost their minds over that. Oh, one that I'm really excited about. I guess I'm kind of letting the cat out of the bag. We were going to try to roll these out to surprise people, but by the time this stuff comes out, people would have forgotten this interview anyways. But we're doing one with Purple Rain. We're going to do a Purple Rain.
Wow, that's great.
And that cover, Chris Visions did that cover. Oh my God, it's incredible. So yeah, we're trying to do some cool things that will again hit potentially another audience, because there are people that are fans of those films, fans of this, urban cinema in general. They see these kind of things, they see this kind of thing, and there's an immediate connection, because it may not be the connection of the book, but it's the connection of those films, and hopefully that'll springboard more excitement and curiosity, and get more people to check out what we're doing.
That's excellent, man. No, that's great. Well, I look forward to us being at Terrificon, and maybe we'll see some of those wonderful covers when we because I'm gonna obviously there's gonna be a David Walker Sanford Greene panel, and we're gonna have to get into it and everything, because hey, this is cool, man. Seriously, honestly, you guys, like you said, man, you really great timing, but also I really think you really found something that's unique and wasn't being done in comics, and it's fantastic that you guys, planted your flag in this territory and are like, we're going to stay here for a while. There's a lot of great stories to tell here.
Oh yeah,
and again, and to reflect on Black history in a great way, and again have this great backdrop to tell fun, interesting stories at the same time. Wonderful, man. Terrific.
Oh, and you just said it there. We were also intentional about the time of the year that we would relaunch the series, and it's out in February, which is Black History Month. So,
yes.
We're looking at every aspect that we can possibly have to bring attention to what we're doing in a non in a non-panhandling kind of way. So, we don't want to make it tropish to do those kind of things. Hey, look at us. We're launching here at this time, and you should support because that's.
No, I'm
but at the same time, we know that people pay attention to those things, and they appreciate those things as well. So, we're definitely we're looking at these different opportunities, and it's just great to see how they all connect.
This is cool, man. So with the it's a film with Bitterroot. It's not going to be a TV series.
Yeah, it's going to be a film. We talked to Legendary has the option.
Gotcha.
And they produce everything from the Godzilla films, the King Kong films, soon to be the Godzilla versus King Kong film.
That's true.
They did Titan. Not Titan. I'm sorry. It's I always say Titan. Pacific Rim.
Of course. They did the Nolan Batman movies.
Yeah, they did the Nolan Batman films. They are definitely aggressive. They have a lot of vision and passion. So cool. We kind of landed in a really incredible spot. Even if we didn't have Ryan, which he really is the icing on the cake. Even without him, having them behind it, they're making it their ambition to see this thing, because at the end of the day, they're the ones that's got the signs off on the checks. So,
well, yeah, man, absolutely. No,
Ryan makes he can make the donuts for sure, but he needs the capital to be able to keep the donut, the hot sign on as much as possible. So that's where they come in, Legendary.
Sure, man. I think they also make that Netflix Lost in Space too.
Yeah,
because I want to say I believe Jan Jones is over there, who used to be at DC, and I think she's in their comic division and stuff. And I know I was going over the roster with her. And I believe the new Lost in Space was part of it as well. Wow.
Yeah, I had an opportunity to go to the offices of Legendary, and
cool.
It is Legendary. That their name lives up to they're living up to their name for sure. Their facilities are incredible, and apparently President Obama was there. The week before, when we were there, we went there the week after Comic-Con this week. And they took me into the secret chamber, and this was pretty awesome. My only regret is that I did not bring an extra suitcase. And so. Oh,
you could have gone home with some swag?
Yeah, I could have walked away with some insane swag, but
Did they make American Factory, the Obama's documentary?
I don't know. Okay,
maybe I don't either.
Maybe so. Maybe that's why he was there. I mean, I'm pretty sure he wasn't there just to, to do
hang out, grab some swag.
Yeah, to grab lunch. I mean, that lunch. Any lunch with Obama is an official lunch. There's no hanging out thing. So I'm pretty sure.
True.
Yeah, I just came to check on you guys.
In the neighborhood.
Yeah, just in the neighborhood. But no, I think that was a very poignant visit. So
that's cool.
Yeah.
That's excellent, man. No, hey, that's again, like you said, both Kugler and the fact that you got Legendary behind you. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
It's I like I said, Sanford. I'm thrilled for you guys. I really think it's terrific. I think you're doing, and really, man. I mean, forgive me as the layman that doesn't make comics, but I think you guys are doing it right. It's entertaining. It's educational. I think the back matter is great, and like I said, you guys are the exception. A lot of times, back matter doesn't make it in the trade because a lot of Ed Brubaker and some of the others that do back matter are like, nah, I'm going to leave it in the magazine because they want people to buy the magazine as well. But I'm really glad you guys are putting it in the book, and I think it only makes it that much more valuable from an academic standpoint as well.
Yeah, one of the best things we ever did was putting those in the actual collecting those in the trade, because we were leaning kind of in the same direction to just kind of let them have their own space in the individual issues, which is. It's so interesting because I thought, well, no one's going to want to buy something that they've already have in back matter from the singles to the trade, and people were buying it. They were double, triple dipping on this thing. So that's when we realized that we had something that people were just absolutely passionate about, and it didn't matter how many versions of it they had, as long as they have it. And a lot of people wanted to have every version of it. So,
sure.
It honestly sold even more because every article, essay was in the trade. We did, the librarian conference in DC this past year.
Oh, that's great. Go on. The ALA? Is that the ALA show?
Uh-huh. And that's when I realized that, we're sitting on something pretty special. I mean, we knew it, but from that standpoint, just to really understand that, if we keep this same, direction, we'll have a whole new audience, several new audiences.
Sure.
For a very long time.
Are you guys thinking about coming in June? The next ALA show is going to be in Chicago this summer, and I don't know if you guys would do it again. And I think that'd be great. I was wondering I was going to ask you guys if you've done any ALA related shows.
Yeah, that's the plan. I think
great.
I'll tell you this, John. I've done the two greatest experiences I've had in terms of signing, what have you, vending, if you will, with Bitterroot, was ALA and this conference called Afrotech. And oddly enough, this conference, Afrotech, is in Oakland, California.
Cool.
And perfect demographic for what we're trying to, for the audiences,
Sure.
the Afrotech audience. This is what Afrotech is all the major companies, tech companies, even beyond, much more beyond, all of them are represented. Google, Apple, Facebook, Amazon, you name it. And they're all the employees or they're represented with a lot of the people of color from those companies. So you had everything from CEOs to entrepreneurs to just tech designers and all everything, all the above.
Yeah.
And I was there to promote, and I was there the year before with eBay, and we did it's pretty cool. eBay did like an exclusive to issue 1 of Bitterroot, and that was the debut of it.
Oh, wow.
Afrotech. And I paid, I did an homage cover to the Akira movie poster.
Yeah.
I got this thing about just doing homages to everything, film, whatever. Hey, it works. People tend to dig it. And that image, that Akira image, is very iconic. And but I used our main character, Cullen, in the place of the Kira character.
Cool.
And I steampunked the bike and everything, which, our book, that's the other aspect. We hadn't even really talked about the steampunk aspect of our book, but that's
true.
Part of the Afrofuturism. But long story short, we did the cover, and people went bananas over it because it was something a little different from what they normally see at these conferences. But at the same time, these folks, when it's all said and done, they're geeks as well. I mean, we're talking about the tech industry, so
well, yeah,
there's tie-in, there's a tremendous crossover. So anyway, I knew that once experiencing that, my goal, my mission was to try to be a part of that conference as much as possible, every year if possible.
Great.
This year we sold hundreds of trades out
Wonderful.
there.
Excellent.
So, but yeah, those types of things are what we're looking at now. I think David will be at the Schaumburg this weekend. I think it's for MLK.
Is he doing a book signing or?
Yeah, he's going to be at the Schaumburg. There's an MLK.
Maybe Graham Crackers or whatever, or yeah.
No, it's not Graham Crackers. It's another conference. It's oh gosh, what's the name of it?
Oh, no kidding. Oh man, I didn't know he was going to be in town. That's right by me. That's suburban Chicago, Schaumburg. Yeah.
Oh, well, not that Schaumburg. The one in.
Oh, excuse me.
The Schaumburg in Harlem, New York.
Oh, excuse me.
Yeah, the Schaumburg, David. Not the.
Very different.
Yeah, very different, man. It's not the. Dave, I told David. I think I said the same thing to David, and David said, "No, the Schaumburg," and I'm like, "Oh, sorry."
Hilarious.
But yeah,
fantastic.
That's happening this weekend. It's a pretty big, kind of an Afrofuturism centered conference. Cool. So he'll be there. So yeah, we're going after a lot of these conferences that's beyond the
comic book stuff, man. No, that's great. No, but that's that's what I mean, man. This is great. And like you said too, and I we because it is a period piece. Yeah, I mean, like you said, I mean, there is that steampunk aesthetic to the book. I mean, it is set a little bit further than your Jules Verne, H.G. Wells period. I mean, obviously it's kind of the 20s and the 30s, and moving forward, obviously from there. So, and in fact, I know that it's been described as that period, I think, is called diesel punk because it's, a little, it's pre-jet age. It's pre-supersonic and stuff.
Yep.
But it's definitely, and like diesel, like that, it's gas-powered engines as opposed to the flying wooden ships and the dirigibles and then the balloons and stuff like that,
Yep. That, and when we started to assemble the ideas and we started talking about the steampunk element, it was like, wow, it fits so well. This Harlem Renaissance time period was very much it was the, like, if you had the mechanical aspect, the diesel aspect of it, I feel like the arts and cultural, energy and excitement of that time, all of that stuff kind of had the same type of influence, and it just felt like, wow, those two things are just made for each other. And we jumped all over this thing. I know I did, because there was nothing out there, to my knowledge, that was like this. Steampunk during the Harlem Renaissance. You would think that it would be something. Somebody did something, and maybe there is. I don't know, but not anything of any substantial. Substantial
awareness.
Awareness.
Yeah. No, I'm with you, man. No, and you're right about that, because Yeah, I mean, well, think about it. Like, obviously, it was beyond the advent of the phonograph, but like you think about early records and stuff of the 20s and 30s and how like the 78 period really was a big deal. And then along with it, when radio really exploded in the 20s and 30s as well. So, and again, just the industrial impact of the times gave people more discretionary income, so they're going to more shows and they're seeing the bands and stuff, and I think it did all feed into each other. So I think that's kind of cool, and yeah, I think, again, what was happening in radio and record companies in the 20s and 30s was just as important as the music that was being created at the moment, along with all the other art of the Harlem Renaissance. Am I right as an ignorant white guy?
John, I think you can do our panel for sure now, man.
Oh, good. Okay, good. I don't want to half-ass it. I look forward to learning a lot, man. Honestly, truly, Bitterroot is a great. I mean, that's the thing, man. This book stands out for a reason, and it's definitely worthy of people's attention. And I'm thrilled that beyond the Wednesday Warriors, you're reaching an even more excited crowd that is coming for the subject matter. And thankfully you guys, dress it up nice with, the stories and art and everything that you guys make. So, no, it's great. I'm thrilled, man. And I looking at the clock, if you got to go, we can wrap up. I'll just, thank you as always for coming on and let everyone know that, yeah, Volume 2 Bitterroot on its way, and fine Afrofuturism from David and Chuck and Sanford. So it's great talking to you as always, man.
Take care, John. Absolutely.
Really nice conversation with Sanford Greene as always, and looking forward to seeing him and David at C2E2. That's great. Man, I can't wait. It's only a few weeks away. I've got a couple of panels that'll be happening at C2E2. I hope you'll join us at the end of February. If you're planning on coming to the Chicago area or live nearby, make the trip to McCormick Place that last weekend in February. It's going to be the 28th, the 29th, and March 1st, I believe, those 3 days. But really looking forward to C2E2 this year, and I hope I get a chance to say hello to you. But thank you, Sanford Greene, for coming on today's Word Balloon. All brought to you by Aftershock Comics. Unbelievable stuff coming this year, and in fact next month. Things like John Layman's The Man Who Effed Up Time, Zach Thompson's Undone by Blood, God Killers from Mark Sable. They will be going along with some of the great works in the Aftershock archive. Things like The Art of Jim Starlin and great series from Paul Jenkins. There's things like Dark Red from Tim Seeley and Dark Arc from Cullen Bunn. Also Wando on Dark Arc with Cullen. So many other great series as well, like Marguerite Bennett's Animosity with Raphael De La Tour. Donnie Cates has Baby Teeth along with Gary Brown. There's Goran Suzuka and Garth Ennis's Walk Through Hell, among other great Aftershock books that deserve your attention. Go to their website. You'll find full story descriptions, preview pages, and how to get these books at your local shop with the diamond codes at AftershockComics.com. Thanks again for listening. Hope you hear some more great word balloons either from our archive or later this week before we close out January. Still more great stuff to share with you. Until then, Word Balloon is a copyright feature of Shaky Productions, copyright 2020.